Welcome to the East Bank Sports Show with your hosts, Matt and Noah.
Welcome back into the East Bank Sports Show, everybody. I'm your host, Noah, with my buddy Matt. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you Clevelanders out there. If I see anybody out at the parade, what's up? Matt, how was your busy work weekend?
Same as it always is. Not bad. Not bad.
I feel
Excited
you.
to be here to talk some Cleveland sports with you.
Yeah, it was a very low-key weekend. We did a bar crawl last weekend, so we decided, and we being me, decided to be low-key this time. But we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about because NFL free agency has begun. And for those who don't know, I think our number one topic to talk about is our Cleveland Browns. So let's start with the signing that I don't think anybody really had on the table, and it wasn't a player. It was a coach. Mike Vrabel is on the coaching staff for the Browns. Matt, what is your thoughts about this acquisition?
I mean, it's awesome. Why not bring him in? It can't hurt. He's in to do like a player development and personnel role. He's basically just here to help the team out, bring his football knowledge in. I mean, it can't hurt. I love it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Basically, and I was, listening to some other shows, other podcasts, that kind of thing over the weekend. The consultant role is basically like a part-time coaching role for the NFL. So he's not going to be there every day, day in, day out. But when he's needed, he's going to be around. And, was one of the better coaches in the NFL. I think we both were surprised when he got fired. So the fact that he adds onto this coaching staff shows mainly to me that Kevin Stefanski is not worried about his job, because you don't bring a guy in like Mike Vrabel if you're worried that he might have a chance to take your job. I think it's a smart move because it adds, to this coaching staff, it adds experience, especially with some of those younger coaches we brought in, those college position coaches that are now coaching positions in the NFL and stuff. I think it's just a good move all around to get some of those guys used to the transition between college and NFL, as well as, Mike Vrabel helping figure out how to make Myles Garrett even better after a defensive player of the year season. Sounds good to me.
I mean, he's always been a real smart football guy. I've always been a fan of his. I just like the way he talks about the game and the way he approaches game planning from kind of a nerdy standpoint. I like him a lot. So the fact that he's going to be in helping get our defense ready, he's a big defense guy. I love it. He'll help out Schwartz. The only issue that I was talking to my boss a little bit with is if you could get like some egos in the way there on the defensive side of the ball. Personally, I don't see that being a problem. I would imagine that they talked to Schwartz long and hard and made sure it was fine with him to make this move before it happened. I don't see it having any problem.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like Schwartz probably had an opportunity to go jump for a head coaching job at some point somewhere. So to keep him happy, I think, is one of the top priorities for this team. Switching gears NFL wise, we had a lot of signings this week. The biggest names, we brought back Shelby Harris, Mo Hurst, Darius Smith, which to me is the biggest deal that we could have made because of how great he was next to Myles. The sack numbers weren't there, but the QB pressures were insane. What are your takes on some of these signings, Matt?
I honestly was kind of shocked to see Za'Darius re-sign with us. I figured he was going to go try to play somewhere else. I'm ecstatic he's back, though. I mean, we put him next to Myles, and Myles goes and wins a defensive player. Something's working well. Clearly, he fits into Schwartz's scheme. Another signing we made, which I'm a big fan of, is Nyheim Hines.
Same here.
Make a change of pace, backup running back role, return specialist as well, which I love. As long as he can stay healthy, he's coming off of a weird off-the-field injury that wasn't really his fault from what I understand.
Yeah, wasn't it like a jet ski ACL tear or something weird, right?
Yeah, it was. I want to say you were right on with that, but he should be good to go. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think trying to stabilize that return position after, Grant gets hurt the last 2 years before the season even starts, whether that be at training camp or that preseason injury we saw against the Chiefs, I believe, last year on that return. To stabilize that position and not just be rotating in these practice squad guys to return the ball, I think will help our special teams in general. Not that it was really particularly bad. I think we only had like one punt the entire season, and I think it was fine, especially because Bubba Ventrone is such a good special teams coach. A guy like Naheem Hines, who is a perfect returner, I think will bode well for this team going into the 2024 season. Something I'd like to talk about, and I feel like is one of the more talked about free agency signings by the Browns for whatever reason, is Jameis Winston is our backup quarterback, and I see you smiling. What are your takes on that? Obviously, I'll miss Flacco, but what are your takes on the Jameis Winston signing?
Okay, listen, I get the NFL is a business. You always have to be looking for your best option, whatever. I get it. The fact that we didn't even offer Flacco a contract is downright stupid. The second we knew he wasn't going to be a starter, he wasn't going to get a starter's contract, we should have at least offered to bring him back. I don't hate bringing in Jameis. I like him as a player, but I'm mad that we didn't even offer Flacco. And I know we're talking about free agency signings, and I'm getting off topic here. Sorry.
So I get what you're saying, right? But what I kind of take from this is Flacco got the same money as Jameis, basically. Contracts looked very eerily similar. My reasoning why I think they decided not to officially offer Flacco anything is because they were too far apart on money. I think they were very much too far apart on money because Jameis Winston signed a deal, and I'm looking at it right now. I'm going to look for it. That was $4 million guaranteed, 1 year, $4 million guaranteed with 4.7 of that in incentives if he ends up playing or whatever. So really only $4 million deal on the cap, even though it came out as 8.7 to start. Flacco signs a very similar deal. I think the Browns see more value in a 9-year younger quarterback with a better skill set for where this offense is headed with the new, offensive coordinator, Van Pelt's gone, as opposed to offering that same money for a 40-year-old that, yes, I love Flacco Mania. You love Flacco Mania. Everybody listening to this show loves. I just think Jameis is a better fit. And for the same money, they were like, Joe, thank you for everything you did. Go see what you can do. We're going to stick with Jameis. So, yes, I agree with you that maybe we should have offered him something. But if he wasn't going to take like $1 mil, $2 mil, and he wanted the Jameis money, I think they were like, okay, we're going to go Jameis because he fits better. And Jameis, I can't wait for all of the memes to come out of this season. I can't wait to eat some W's. What are your thoughts on that, though, Matt? Do you agree with me? How do you feel about kind of my breakdown?
No, I mean, you're 100% correct. It just hurts me as an emotion fan to see us not offer the contract. You're 100% right in saying, yeah, if you have option 1 and option 2 at the same amount of money, you're going to take the 9-year younger scheme fit versus a 40-year-old Linsanity run, as everyone's calling it.
It was, though.
100% makes sense.
Yeah. The only other signing, we have a couple other signings, but there's 2 signings I want to talk about because the biggest needed position group past day one, I think, was linebacker. We bring in Devin Bush. We bring in Jordan Hicks. What are your thoughts about those linebackers? I'm a big fan of Jordan Hicks. I think Devin Bush is a complete fit of what we do to fill roster holes. But you go ahead, Matt, and tell me what you think.
So I have been of the opinion for a long time that Devin Bush is one of the more underrated linebackers in the league. When I watch him play, I would always watch him play and be like, wow, that's Sione Takitaki, but playing very well all the time. We lose Sione. It hurts. We replaced him and upgraded. I love it. I'm very, very excited for this linebacker core.
Yeah, me too. A former first-round pick that has had some ups and downs in his NFL career is the Andrew Berry special. So I'm really excited for Bush to be here. Bush, right? Did I say that right? Yeah, Bush, sorry. Hicks, was a fantastic player for the Vikings last year, so I'm very excited for him to be here. A core of JOK, Hicks, and Bush. I think that's a perfect linebacker room for the type of defense we will run and the money they wanted to pay. Taki went and got paid by the Patriots. So to get some guys on some cheaper deals that make sense for the team, I'm all for it. I'm really happy with how our free agency has gone out. We haven't had that sexy move, right? Jerry Jeudy, the trade is like our sexy trade, and we're used to seeing these big moves from Andrew Berry. But I think there's still one coming because the last thing, Browns wise, I want to touch on is the fact that Jerry Jeudy got restructured a couple days ago. And that freed up $10 million in cap. And then right away, they dropped the Vrabel news because they knew all the national media would talk. To me, that's signaling that they either have a signing or a trade in mind that they're trying to work towards right now. What do you think about that?
I honestly didn't even pay that much attention to the restructure of Jerry Jeudy. You see it happen so much when players get moved around. They just hit the new team and almost immediately restructure. Hearing you talk about it, though, and the way Andrew Berry likes to run this football team, I would almost guarantee you he's got lines in the water in the background on some blockbusters.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens, and maybe something doesn't shake out because Andrew Berry is also the type of guy that will patiently wait for the right move to happen. So we waited 2 years for Jerry Jeudy to finally be a Brown. We waited a year for Elijah Moore to be a Brown. He likes players and he'll go after them, but he'll never jump and overpay, which I think is a testament to how great of a GM he is.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break, come back, and we'll talk about some guards. So we're back, Matt. The guards are still out there in Arizona playing some subpar baseball. Let's talk about it. Give me some breakdown on the Cleveland Guardians. We're going to opening day together. Got a bunch of stuff going on here soon. Less than a month till baseball is officially back. Let's talk.
I'm real excited. Obviously, big baseball fan. I really was hoping to see a little more out of the Guards so far in spring training. We're still not winning a lot of games. Again, spring training. I know I went through a lot of the stats kind of last week. Really, What we're talking about now is starting to look at what our opening day roster is going to look like, the moves we're going to make with that. So really the big things to look at there is what we're going to do with the infield and the outfield. You have our first baseman.
Josh all day, yeah.
Shortstop is Jimenez, obviously. Or not shortstop, second baseman.
Second base, you're good, man. Yeah.
Shortstop is still up in the air.
It's between Arias and who?
Rocchio.
Rocchio, that's right. I'm a big Rocchio guy because he was out in Akron when I worked for Akron.
I really think it's going to be Arias' job day one.
Oh, 100%. I agree.
What we put into him.
And real quick, just for everybody listening, so an article came out on the MLB app and obviously MLB.com by Mandy Bell, kind of projecting the 26-man roster for the Guards opening day. That's kind of what we're using as a baseline, even though I think me and Matt both agree to disagree with this article because there's some names missing that I think will be there. But go ahead and keep breaking down the roster. I just wanted to throw that in there. So it gives some validity to us just making the claims.
So obviously then at third base, you have Jose.
Obviously.
You don't need to really break that one down too much. Outfield is really where we start to get pretty interesting, I think. You have Kwan locking up left field for sure.
100%, yeah.
Obviously, 100%, no doubter, Miles Straw in center.
Get out of here.
There's definitely no arguments to be made there.
You're such a Miles Straw fanboy, Stan, and I don't get it because his defense is great, but he's just so abysmal to watch try to hit the ball. And that's the biggest problem with this roster as a whole. I don't get your Miles Straw love. Can you break that down for me a little bit?
I mean, for one, multiple-time Gold Glover, one of the best defenders at his position. And let's do me a favor just for the next 2 minutes, Noah.
Okay.
Forget everything you know about Miles Straw in the past. I'm going to tell you right now, we have a guy who, through spring training, has made 0 errors in the field, and in 17 plate appearances is batting .412.
Oh, I know he's had a fantastic spring training, and I hope he continues that into his regular season because, trust me, this team and that player needs to do that. But one thing that I know from going to multiple games and watching multiple games on TV for the second season in a row now is there's 3 things that are solidified: gas, taxes, and placing a bet on Miles Straw to not get it. That's guaranteed money every time.
Until he goes cold again, I don't think you can move off of him.
I agree, though. I think he'll be on the roster no matter what, just because of that. I really want to see a rotation. I want to see some of these guys, the younger guys, get out there and play, which I think you should touch on real quick because, this roster has a lot of your known suspects, around. What you picture, the starting lineup from last year to carry over to this year is here, but we're missing De Los Santos. We're missing Chase DeLauter. Talk to me about that. Fill me in on this, roster where you think those guys fit. De Los Santos obviously has to be carried on the 26-man to stay a Guardian.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't. The further we get into spring, just the way he's been playing, we're giving him every chance we can during spring training, which absolutely makes sense. We're keeping him in as many games as we can, and he's just really not showing much. I wouldn't be shocked if we carry him for a month and a half, give him as much time. But if we get a month and a half into the season and we're fighting for the division or starting a fight for the division, we're going to need that roster spot for something else if he hasn't started to develop his bat more.
Yeah, I think 100% he's going to be on the opening day roster. I don't know if he's going to be playing. Probably he'll be a reserve, right? I think 100% he'll be there just because they took him. I wrote an article this week about everybody relax on him, give him time to develop. And then the day I wrote that article, it was coming out the next day. That night he had a 2-for-4 hit game with a home run in center. So the potential is there. I think we all agree the potential is there. I'm just curious to see how quick that potential can turn into production for this team. Obviously, we want him to because we took him in the Rule 5 draft, but I don't know if that's going to happen just based off of what I've seen in spring training this fall.
I mean, I'm definitely starting to get worried. Like you said, we want it to happen, and I want to give him as much time as we can, given the circumstances of us acquiring him. But with what's going on in spring training, there's a handful of guys that have shown hot bats in spring that it would be silly not to have on the roster, at least as a rotation piece, if they can keep their bat hot and De Los Santos doesn't heat up. If he can heat back up and get to the player we think he can be a big power threat that this lineup desperately needs.
Yeah.
The question is, will he get there?
Right. I agree. Talk to me, Chase DeLauter, because I am more in favor of him making this 24-man, or I keep saying 24-man, 26-man roster than not making it and going to play in Columbus because of how well he's been playing and, his status as a player. And I think you agree with me to some extent on that, but talk to me about that.
I would agree with you. He'll be on the 26-man at the start of the year.
Yeah.
He's played well. Truly, if I step down from my Miles Straw fan club, he makes a serious case as the biggest threat to take center field for Miles Straw.
I agree.
If somebody's going to, I want it to be him. He's got the pop that I love for a player. He's got the speed. He's all around a good potential package. He's definitely going to be on the roster, I think. And I mean, even to right field, you could see him slide with Will Brennan and Laureano over there. He could rotate there easily as well.
My only thing is, and I'm used to the, Tito way of baseball where we take forever and bringing people up and stuff. He hasn't played AAA baseball yet. He's only been in Akron and Lake County. Do you think that, I don't know if I think he'll be on the opening day 100%, right? But I do think he's going to get called up this season. I do think he's going to make his league debut this season. Do you think that's going to factor in against him that he's only played a year in the minors, basically?
I think it's actually it'll be a really interesting thing for us to look at from Vogt, how he wants to handle this young player with limited time that looks really solid. I would say under Tito for sure. Yeah, that hurts him. He's going to sit in the minors for a quarter of the year. Not having any experience with Vogt as a manager, I don't know. I don't know how he's going to handle it.
Yeah, that's my biggest question too, honestly, because it's going to start to show us what Vogt does as a manager, right? It's going to show kind of his thought process of developing young guys. Are we ready to make some jumps on some of these young guys? Start them maybe prematurely, but maybe it pans out. And they're on the roster earlier and, lighting up the field with home runs like Chase has been and still playing solid defense as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one thing that I really wanted to touch on to close out the guards was De Los Santos and DeLauder are two almost like case studies for Vogt. Like they're kind of two hurdles he's got to get over right out the gate as our manager. And it'll kind of give us a temperature gauge, see how he's going to be as a manager compared to Tito, get us our first kind of feel of what he's going to do.
Yeah, I agree with you full-heartedly. With that being said, let's switch over for a little bit. Let's go to the Cavs. Spida's back, baby, and so is Tristan Thompson, by the way. That happened yesterday. Spida's back. We've, been winning some games. Lost last night to the Rockets, which I didn't get to watch the game, so I'm not going to comment on super far, but we should beat the Rockets. Looks like they're starting to get their rhythm back underneath them regardless. We almost beat the Suns in Cleveland with the skeleton roster we were playing last week. With Donovan out, Evan Mobley with the sprained ankle. Max Strus was hurt. Dean Wade was hurt. Well, Dean Wade was out for personal reasons. But, Matt, I don't know how much basketball you've been paying attention to. You got any takes about the Cavs, kind of what's going on? I believe we're still in the 3 seed of the East, but go ahead.
I've been in and out of it this season, a little more in than out from previous years.
Right.
I'm just really happy to see Donovan Mitchell back on the court,
Yeah.
He's the key to this team. Without him there, we struggle, and it's clear. Obviously, we were still able to hang with all the good teams. We beat the Celtics. We've done a lot, but it's great to have him back.
Yeah, and I guess more importantly than us just kind of talking about them getting back in the swing of everything with Mitchell back, the sad thing is Donovan went under the league minimum for any individual award, so he can't go for MVP or All-NBA team at this point with how many games he sat out, which sucks. But I also agree with the ruling for the most part because it helps to counteract, just benching players for rest, which I think is a big problem. And I know they're fixing that you can't do that and all that in the NBA, but it's been my biggest problem with the NBA since the LeBron years, especially for fans that pay to go watch a team and LeBron's just sitting on the bench or Spida's just sitting on the bench because. So that sucks. But the other big news for the Cavs that I'm, more excited about is the fact that we signed, and this was official yesterday, Marcus Morris Sr. one of the twin brothers. Um, he's coming to Cleveland. I love it because he's a bruiser and a shooter. He's gonna, stir the pot a little bit. We need some feistiness down there in the forward position. Really excited about him coming back. Matt, do you have any takes about the Donovan thing or the Marcus Morris thing?
I'm kind of torn on the awards thing with Donovan. I absolutely think that minimum should apply to like MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and all that. I don't really think it should be there for like the all NBA teams in that though. I mean, if you still played great when you did, I think you should still be able to make the all NBA team. I get not having it for the awards. I've always just kind of disagreed with not being able to make the teams at the end of the year.
Yeah. What about Marcus Morris? Because I'm really excited about that signing. He's going to be a role player for us, not a starter. He's not anything crazy, but just having, a bruiser, a feisty player, our Draymond Green. He's always the example because he's such an ass, right?
I mean, I'm one of those guys that I hate those types of players until they're in Cleveland, and then nobody can talk bad about my guy, you know? I'm excited. If he can add value and depth to a Cavs team that looks poised to make a nice run this year, absolutely. And you sound really excited. You know basketball a bit better than I do, so
Yeah.
I'm going to take your word on it.
I think he'll be a good addition, especially for, we're trying to make a playoff run, obviously. So I think that's the most exciting part of this, right? With that being said, Matt, do you have anything Cavs? I'm good Cavs. Are you good Cavs?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into our final takes and thoughts from this week. I'll start off with saying I'm super excited as a pro wrestling fan. SummerSlam is coming to Cleveland Browns Stadium. Huge for the economy of downtown, which I love because I live downtown. Huge for, just putting Cleveland on the map more. Matt, any thoughts about that? I know it's a little more broad and off topic, but
I actually, when I saw that got announced, I was thinking about sending you a text saying, hey, I might have to explore this world a little bit. We should go. I'm
going
interested.
100%.
I'm excited.
My parents are coming and my girlfriend is going to go as well. I've gotten her into the WWE side since they've gotten really hot with The Rock and everything lately. Matt, what other takes do you have before we wrap up this show?
Really, the only thing I had is I wanted to circle back to the guards for a second. I forgot to bring up we had a handful of pitcher injuries. I'm not going to go super deep into them. It's looking like it might be another struggling year for the pitchers in the bullpen.
I know.
The big one I'm worried about is Gavin Williams.
Yeah,
it looks like he'll be back. Not going to be ready for opening day, though, which sucks.
Yeah, I'm with you. The pitcher injuries, it was like one after another. And I know that was one of your like double days at work. And I texted you and I'm like, are you paying attention to are you getting the MLB app notifications right now? Or are you on Twitter at all? Because, oh boy. Another thing I'd like to touch on, I want to shout out Nick Harris real quick. I know he was kind of an up and down player in Cleveland, but I loved watching the big boy, the center, play fullback for us. So I want to say, wish you the best. I forget where he signed, but I know he left, as well as some of the other, Anthony Walker's gone. I want to wish those guys the best in their new teams. Thank you for your contributions to the city of Cleveland. I think for the most part, there's no one that left that we, didn't like or didn't contribute, which sucks, but also happens when you're a good team and you got to, start shifting around players to fit your cap needs.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of our underappreciated players that were going to get their bag. So I'm happy for him, but it sucks, Wish him the best.
With that being said, Matt, any other final takes? I'm trying to think if I have anything. I think the Browns look more and more poised to take players that we didn't talk about at all. I think O-line, actually, your second round pick at O-line, I think makes a lot more sense now with what's gone on in free agency. I think running back is very much on the table in the draft. So coming up, when we get closer to the draft, as free agency wraps up, we'll do another mock draft and talk about that for a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm good. If you're good, thank you for tuning in to the East Bank Sports Show. We always appreciate you guys, giving us feedback, checking out my articles, talking to us on Twitter, retweeting the posts, commenting on the posts, giving us feedback, following on Instagram. Matt, thank you for a great show, man. Let's wrap this up.
I hope everybody had a safe St. Patrick's Day. We'll see you guys later.
Go